Welcome to ComfortTV.channel news, bringing you verified and balanced news from Nigeria and around the world. My name is Faith Kevin. Thank you for joining us this evening. And the headlines: President Tinubu orders service chiefs to prioritize action over excuses. Federal government commences disbursement of Tertiary Institution Staff Support Fund. Federal hospital heads meet in Enugu to chart path for better healthcare delivery. Reps inaugurate committee to probe tax deductions, multiple bank charges. INEC accredits 76 media organizations for Anambra governorship election. Bandits slay pastor, abduct 20 worshippers in Kaduna community. On business news, Nigeria unveils national waste marketplace program to drive circular economy and green innovation. Moniepoint AI chatbot aim to empower Nigeria's informal economy. And on the foreign scene, cleanup efforts on the way after Hurricane Melissa leaves destructive trail in the Caribbean. Pakistan-Afghanistan extends ceasefire to hold another round of peace talks. And on sports, Atalanta coach praises Lookman after equalizer against AC Milan. Boxers sign contract ahead of Go TV Boxing Night 34. Now the news. President Bola Tinubu has directed the newly appointed service chiefs to prioritize results over excuses and act decisively against emerging security threats across the country. Speaking during their decoration at the presidential villa, Abuja, the president urged the commanders to swiftly neutralize new armed groups identified in parts of the north central, northwest, and south. The directive came as part of renewed efforts to consolidate gains recorded in the fight against terrorism and other security challenges. President Tinubu noted that while the government operations have restored relative peace in several regions, security threats continue to evolve. He emphasized that the armed forces must adapt rapidly, deploy technology, and strengthen collaboration among security agencies to maintain stability and protect citizens. The president said the administration considers national security a top priority under the Renewed Hope agenda, describing it as the foundation for economic development and social progress. He pledged continued support for the armed forces to ensure effective operations. The newly confirmed service chiefs include General Olufemi Oluyede as part of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Wahidi Shaibu as Chief of Army Staff, Vice Admiral Idi Abbas as Chief of Naval Staff, Air Marshal Sunday Aneke as Chief of Air Staff, and Lieutenant General Emmanuel Udinde as Chief of Defense Intelligence. The officers were decorated at the ceremony attended by Vice President Kashim Shettima, Senate President Godswill Akpabio, House Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, National Secretary, Advisor Nuhu Ribadu, and other senior officials. The federal government has commenced the disbursement of funds under the Tertiary Institution Staff Support Fund (TISSF), designed to strengthen staff welfare, institutional productivity, and innovation across Nigeria's tertiary education system. This is contained in a statement made in Abuja by the Director of Press and Public Relations, Federal Ministry of Education, Mrs. Folashade Boriowo. Mrs. Boriowo, while quoting the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, on the milestone, said the welfare was an initiative of President Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda. Dr. Alausa said the program had transitioned from planning to full implementation, with more than 9,000 staff of tertiary institutions receiving payments in the first year. This, he said, represented 28% of the 33,000 verified applicants drawn from 219 federal and state tertiary institutions across the Federation. Dr. Alausa said the first phase of disbursement covered both academic and non-academic personnel in a 30-70 ratio, reflecting the government's inclusive approach to supporting all categories of staff in the nation's higher education institutions. Dr. Alausa emphasized that the initiative goes beyond financial assistance, describing it as an initiative as an investment in the nation's knowledge economy. He reaffirmed the ministry's dedication to transparency, pledging quarterly financial reporting, institutional engagement, and robust monitoring mechanisms to ensure that all funds were effectively utilized and repaid to expand access to more beneficiaries in the future. The initiative launched in August 2025 following a high-level stakeholder engagement in July and is a key component of the federal government's Nigerian education sector renewal initiative. It is designed to enhance morale, performance and institutional excellence within the tertiary education sector. Under the scheme, eligible staff can access up to 10 million naira in concessionary zero-interest loans to tackle essential livelihood and productivity needs, including housing, healthcare, education, transport, and small business ventures. Chief medical doctors, CMDs, and medical doctors, MDs of federal tertiary hospitals across Nigeria have converged in Enugu to deliberate on strategies aimed at enhancing healthcare delivery in the country. The medical chiefs attending the 11th regular meeting of heads of federal tertiary health institutions also used the forum to address the persistent exodus of Nigerian health workers abroad, popularly known as the Japa syndrome. They identified poor medical facilities, inadequate equipment, and unfavorable working conditions as a major cause of the trend, while expressing optimism that resolutions from the meeting would help curb it. Speaking on behalf of his colleagues, the Chief Medical Director of the University of Teaching Hospital, Professor Donatus Obinna Onodogu, said the meeting was expected to yield actionable outcomes capable of improving healthcare delivery and reducing medical brain drain. Professor Onodogu added that better remuneration and modern equipment for medical personnel would ultimately translate into improved healthcare services for Nigerians. As part of the event, participants toured UNTH facilities and commended Professor Onodogu for the transformation recorded at the institution. They cited improvements in water supply, enhanced security, the introduction of electronic medical records, upgraded theater services, and the establishment of a foundation to support indigent patients at little or no cost. Reacting, the Enugu State Commissioner for Health, Professor George Ugu, expressed delight that the state was chosen to host the meeting. He noted that Enugu has recently become a hub for major national conferences, including those of the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, the Nigerian Guild of Editors, NGE, and the Nigerian Institution of Surveyors, NIS. Professor Ugu described the ongoing meeting as timely and significant, expressing confidence that its outcomes would contribute meaningfully to strengthening Nigeria's healthcare system. The House of Representatives has inaugurated an ad hoc committee to investigate alleged unlawful tax deductions from the earnings of civil and public servants, as well as multiple bank charges imposed on customers' accounts across the country. Chairman of the committee, Honorable Kelechi Nwogo, who presided over the inauguration, said the committee was formed in response to mounting complaints from civil servants and Nigerians affected by confusing and inconsistent financial deductions. Honorable Nwogo described the assignment as a crucial step towards promoting transparency, fairness, and accountability, noting that the legislature could no longer ignore the frustration of citizens who suffer unexplained salary and bank deductions. The committee's mandates include investigating the nature and application of taxes, levies, and salary deductions affecting workers, probing possible non-remittance of deducted funds, and examining bank charges, including value-added tax on existing fees. Honorable Nwogo said the panel will identify irregularities, recommend reforms, and advocate for the rights of Nigerians, assuring that the committee will not hesitate to use the full powers of the legislature if necessary. He called on stakeholders, including government agencies, financial institutions, regulatory bodies, and civil society organizations, to cooperate fully with the investigation, promising a transparent and inclusive process. Speaking at the event, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, represented by the Chief Whip, Honorable Usman Bello Kumo, reaffirmed the 10th Assembly's commitment to protecting the citizens from exploitative financial practices. He said the move was a direct response to public outcry over arbitrary deductions by both government agencies and banks. The Speaker also decried the growing problems of multiple and unclear bank charges, warning that such practices erode public trust and worsen economic hardship. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has accredited 76 media organizations and 508 journalists to cover the Anambra governorship election slated for November 8. The Commission said the accreditation followed a thorough screening process to ensure that only duly recognized media organizations and professionals participate in the coverage of the election. According to INEC, the accredited personnel will receive their tags and materials between November 3 and 6 at the International Press Center, Nigerian Union of Journalists Secretariat Complex, ORCA, behind the Central Bank of Nigeria. The exercise, the Commission explained, is part of its commitment to ensuring openness and transparency in the electoral process through broad and credible media participation. The media, it noted, played a vital role in voter education, information dissemination, and in promoting accountability during the election period. INEC stated that the accreditation gives authorized journalists access to polling units, result collation centers, and other designated areas to enable them report developments accurately and in real time. It emphasized that all accredited organizations are expected to strictly adhere to operational and security guidelines, including compliance with the Code of Conduct for election coverage. The Commission added that some media organizations will be granted special access to the Coalition Center to support transparent monitoring and reporting of results. It said the arrangements are designed to strengthen public confidence in the electoral process and enhance the credibility of the forthcoming governorship poll. The United Church of Christ in Nigeria, UCCN, also known as HECAN, has raised the alarm over the killing of one of its pastors, Reverend Yahaya Kambasia, and the abduction of over 20 persons during a fresh attack on the Farin Dutse community in Kauru local government area of Kaduna State. The tragic incident occurred when heavily armed bandits invaded the community, shooting sporadically and causing panic among residents. The attackers reportedly whisked away several villagers, including worshippers from the Hekan Church. Quoting a field report from the chairman of the Hekan Kauru District Church Council, Reverend Dauda Gambo, he explained that the bandits invaded the community at dawn, firing indiscriminately and forcing residents to flee into nearby bushes. The Hekan president recalled that this was not the first time the church had been attacked in the area. On December 4, 2024, bandits abducted about 50 persons, including a Hekan pastor, Reverend Francis Lawal, who later died in captivity. Similarly, on October 19, 2025, 4 members of the Hekan Kakude local church were kidnapped and are still being held by their captors. He urged Nigerians to pray for the bereaved families and those still in captivity, calling for divine intervention in the country's worsening security situation. The church disclosed that it had officially informed the Christian Association of Nigerian CAN in the northern state and Kaduna State as the divisional police station in Kauru and other relevant authorities about the incident. This is ComfortTV.channel news. We return shortly with business, foreign, and sports news. Many thanks for staying tuned to ComfortTV.channel news. On business, the federal government has launched the National Waste Marketplace Program, NWMP, a digital platform aimed at transforming waste management, promoting recycling, and stimulating green enterprise across Nigeria. Unveiled in Abuja, the initiative is being implemented by the National Environmental Standards and Regulation Enforcement Agency, NASREA, in collaboration with Recycle Start Nigeria Limited, with support from development partners including the European Union, EU, German Development Corporation, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and United Nations Development Program. The platform connects waste generators, recyclers, aggregators, and end users through a transparent, traceable system designed to convert waste into economic value. It seeks to modernize Nigerian waste management operation, create green jobs, and strengthen the circular economy. According to the Ministry of Environment, the NWMP aligns with the National Policy on Solid Waste Management, the Extended Producer Responsibility EPR program, and the National Circular Economy Roadmap, as well as international agreements such as the Basel Convention and the Paris Agreement. The program supports the federal government's Renewed Hope agenda, which prioritizes economic diversification, innovation, and environmental sustainability. It is expected to generate investment opportunities, empower small businesses, and enhance accountability in the recycling value chain. By integrating digital technology and private sector participation, the National Waste Marketplace Program represents a major step in Nigeria's transition toward a cleaner, more sustainable, and inclusive green economy. Still on business, Moniepoint Incorporated, one of Africa's payment and personal banking platform, has unveiled Nigeria's first artificial intelligence-powered chatbot designed to simplify insights into the informal economy and strengthen data-driven policy formulation. The launch, which coincided with the second edition of Nigeria's Informal Economy Report, attracted commendations from the federal government for Moniepoint's decade-long contribution to financial inclusion and business growth. Representing Vice President Kashim Shettima, Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Mrs. Jumoke Oduwole highlighted that the informal sector remains the heart of Nigeria's story of resilience and enterprise. She praised Moniepoint for illuminating the critical part of the economy that sustains millions of livelihoods but often escapes formal documentation. Built on advanced large language model technology, M is positioned as a friendly AI-powered guide that translates complex data into accessible, actionable insights. The chatbot enables users from policymakers and researchers to journalists and entrepreneurs to better understand market dynamics, taxation, savings behavior, and business operations in the informal space. Its conversational interface marks a technological milestone for bridging Nigeria's financial knowledge gap, particularly for micro and small business operators. Moniepoint's Managing Director, Mr. Babatunde Olofin, said the initiative reinforces the firm focus on empowering informal businesses with tools to thrive sustainably. The new platform also reflects Nigeria's growing shift towards digital and AI-driven solutions aimed at formalizing the informal sector, a key goal in the Tinubu administration's renewed hope agenda to build a $1 trillion economy by 2030. As Moniepoint celebrates its 10th anniversary, serving over 10 million customers and processing over $22 billion in transactions monthly, the launch of M underscores a defining moment for Nigeria's informal sector, one where technology, policy, and data converge to empower the people driving its everyday resilience. On the foreign scene, cleanup efforts are underway as Hurricane Melissa, one of the most powerful storms ever recorded, left a widespread trail of destruction across much of the northern Caribbean, including Jamaica, Cuba, and Haiti. Hurricane Melissa's death toll further rose to 49. According to official records in Haiti, at least 30 people were killed and 29 are still missing. Officials in Jamaica reported at least 19 deaths and expected the death toll to further rise as search and rescue efforts continue. Jamaican Minister of Transportation, Mr. Daryl Vaz, said 12 emergency relief flights carrying water, medicine, and other essentials entered the country. A joint effort by government workers and residents is underway to clear roads and reach those isolated in the southeast of the island. Meanwhile, teams with rescue dogs continue to search for victims under the rubble. A team for the U.S. search and rescue effort landed in the country. The storm flattened many homes and ripped off roofs from many buildings. Over 13,000 people remained in crowded shelters, with 72% of the island without power and just 35% of mobile phone sites in operations. AccuWeather estimated that Hurricane Melissa caused at least $50 billion in economic damages across the Caribbean. Still on the foreign scene, Pakistan and Afghanistan have agreed to extend a temporary ceasefire and will resume peace talks in Istanbul next week in a renewed effort to ease tensions following deadly border clashes earlier this month. The discussions, scheduled for November 6 under Turkish and Qatari mediation, follow the worst fighting between two neighbors since the Taliban's return to power in 2021. The recent violence, triggered by explosions in Kabul on October 9, left more than 70 people dead and hundreds injured before a truce was brokered. Despite earlier reports that negotiations had collapsed, Turkey confirmed that both sides had consented to prolong the ceasefire and reconvene for further dialogue on unresolved issues. Relations between Islamabad and Kabul have deteriorated in recent years, with Pakistan accusing Afghanistan of sheltering militant groups responsible for cross-border attacks, particularly the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan (TTP). The Taliban administration has repeatedly denied the claim. On to sports, Atalanta manager Ivan Juric has commended Nigerian forward Ademola Lookman for his impressive display in the 1-1 draw with AC Milan in Serie A. Lookman netted his first goal of the season in the 35th minute to cancel out Samuel Richie's early opener, marking a positive return after a disrupted start to the campaign following a failed summer move to Inter Milan. The reigning African Player of the Year has gradually regained form after missing part of Atalanta's preseason due to transfer tensions and early season omissions from matchday squads. Jury displayed satisfaction with Lookman's growing sharpness and determination, describing his goal as a reflection of hard work and renewed focus. Boxers scheduled to compete at GoTV Boxing Night 34 Jam Festival on December 26 have signed contracts for their bouts, marking a key step in preparations for the year-ending event. The signing ceremony held in Lagos confirmed the participation of several top Nigerian boxers who will feature in 5 bouts, including a World Boxing Federation WBF light heavyweight title fight and a national super bantamweight title contest. Among the boxers who completed their contract formalities were Tobiloba Smiling Assassin, Ijomoni Sadiq Happy Boy Adeleke Durotimi, Tiny Abola, Ezekiel Tarcheon, Farouk Taufik, and Shagun Odi Bogbani. Speaking at the event, Chief Operating Officer of Flykite Productions, the organizers of GoTV Boxing Night, Mr. Bamidele Johnson, said the contract signing underscores the event's commitment to structure and professionalism in Nigerian boxing. Mr. Johnson added that the edition tagged Jam Festival will retain the event's familiar but expanded blend of boxing, music, and comedy, a formula that has helped broaden the sport's appeal and attract new audiences. Since its debut in 2014, GoTV Boxing Night has held 33 editions and produced some of the country's leading professional boxers, with bouts broadcast live on SuperSport across Africa. The upcoming Jam Festival edition is expected to round off the year with a mix of competitive fights and live entertainment. And that's our news bulletin for the evening. But before we go, a recap of our top stories. President Tinubu orders service chiefs to prioritize action over excuses. Federal government commences disbursement of tertiary institution staff support fund. Federal hospital heads meet in Enugu to chart path for better healthcare delivery. Reps inaugurate committee to probe tax deductions, multiple bank charges. INEC accredits 76 media organizations for Anambra governorship election. Bandits slay pastor, abduct 20 worshippers in Kaduna community. On business, Nigeria unveils national waste marketplace program to drive circular economy and green innovation. On the foreign scene, cleanup efforts underway after Hurricane Melissa leaves destructive trail in the Caribbean. And on sports, Atalanta coach praises Lookman after equalizer against AC Milan. Thanks for watching. For breaking news, exclusive interviews, and more, follow us online at ComfortTV.channel on all platforms. Remember to like and share our videos, subscribe to our channel, and click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any updates. My name is Faith Kevin. Until next time, stay informed, stay connected.